Welcome back to the channel, folks. Glad to see you. Glad to have you. Pull up a chair. Let's talk about what we're going to carve today, because today we're going to carve little bitty miniature bonsai trees, and I think they're absolutely fantastic. I got different varieties here. This will give you a 1x1 whittle, okay? So we're going to carve them on these little bitty 1" by 1" blocks. I have here a larger version because I want to show you what it looks like if you upscale. You can absolutely do this in a 6" tall 2x2, and you get the same kind of thing. It's a super easy design. It's simple, and it allows you to upscale pretty easily. It's a really fun carving, and you're not going to need to watch the video probably more than once to be able to repeat this again and again and again. Make one for everyone. Make one for your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your wife, your husband. Make one for your kids. Make one for your neighbor. Make one for everyone, so everyone's got one on their shelf or on their desk at work or wherever. Let's go ahead and flip the camera around. We'll jump right into it. Welcome to the show. Here are our bonsai trees, and they turned out absolutely fantastic. I really love them, but we actually have two different sizes here. These guys are 2.5 inches tall on a 2.5" 1x1 block, and this guy is 3 inches tall on a 3" 1x1 block. But not only that, to show you how easily this thing scales, this one is 6 inches tall on a 2x2 block. So the one I'm going to carve today is on the 2.5" block. We're going to do another little bitty one like this one here. And we're going to come up about a 1/2 inch from the bottom. That's going to be our mark for the base of our little planter that our bonsai tree is going to be in. So again, that's just a 1/2 inch up from the bottom. Now, when it comes to the tree, we want these to be eclectic. Not every one of them should be exactly the same. They should all be a little bit different. Do them different, change them up, make it jaunt a little bit over to one direction or the other, and draw some circles up there, some big blobs, and you can make them all in a row like this guy is here. You can put them all off center, but yeah, we can do it however we want to. I want it to have a really wide base, and I want it to come over pretty sharply like that, and then come over like this maybe, and then we'll put a big circle there, circle here, and how about a circle up there? So we'll get rid of that stuff there, get rid of this stuff here, and we'll have it kind of funky over there. But you can do these 3 circles anywhere you want to. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. It doesn't have to be the same. Make it different for every one you do, and carve 4 or 5 of them. Carve 6 or 7 of them. Carve plenty of them. That way you can give one to your wife, to your mother, to your father, to your brother, to your sister, to your kids, to everyone that might have a desk or a place they can put it on a bookshelf or a nook or a cranny or a windowsill or wherever. Now, before I get started too much, this is the overlay of the carving we're carving right now. And also, I live in a house with a wife and 3 kids. So you're going to hear noises in the background. Don't pay any attention to the noises that you hear in the background. And I'm going to start right here with a stop cut along the top of our planter. I'm going to carve right down to it, stop cut in. I'm going to do that on all of the corners. Carve right down to it, and stop cut. Stop cut, carving right down to it, like so. Stop cut, and then carving right down to it, like so. That's fantastic. And I'm just going to keep continuing that around the carving as we go, just creating a little bit of depth. Not a lot of depth, just a little bit of depth, okay? I want to keep those pencil marks a little bit longer, so I'm not carving those yet. I kind of skipped over that section, and I carve everywhere else a little bit first to set our depth in before I do it on the side that has our good pencil marks on it. So I can adjust that as I choose. Now, for right here, we want this to jaunt over one direction and then up in another. So right here, I'm going to start putting a V cut in right there and then carve down to it. Okay, and that starts to form that second jaunt that this tree limb is going to have in our carving. Like you see right there from that angle. And then we're going to do the same thing here. So underneath that circle there, I come in and do a V cut here on this side as well. Right like so. And then carve out to it. And I'm going to deepen it from each side to get deeper into that V. See how I'm doing that, getting deeper into that, right? I'm just gonna keep doing that. This is gonna be a real quick whittle. It's nothing complicated. It's really simple. It's really easy. You should be able to do this in quick time and knock something out. You'll have accomplished something today. And that's fun to have accomplished something creative in a day, you know? We should all be trying to accomplish something creative every day. It really helps us to relax in ways that other things just can't. So now what I'm doing is I'm undercutting. I'm bringing that corner here further in by undercutting back to the base of the tree. Right? Like so. Now, obviously, this is too thick of a tree thing, right? So we want to bring that in. I want to bring it in from this bushel here. So I'm going to carve in and then carve in from the base down here. So we have a little cant end in like right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, carving in towards that. But over here, I'm also going to carve down towards the base and then bring that in, just like so. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to do that stop cut right along the top of that planter, then carve right down to it in a few spots, carving little slices back as I go, because then it's real easy just to snap them out. Little slices like that, and then just come back in and snap them all out. And look how much depth we got, so easy, so quickly. Now these corners here, I can try to take those hard corners off, like that, like that. Take them off right here as well. And then right there, look at that. We got some good progress going. Take these corners off of that base, starting to round that off, like so. That's looking pretty good. And remember, this is kind of like a flat plane style carving. Hard edges on this carving, they give it character. So if you've got hard lines like these right here, like those, they look good. There's nothing wrong with that. It looks just like a funky little anime style, maybe even bonsai tree. And I really like the look of them. I think they look great on the desk. They're going to look great on my work desk. I think it'd be fantastic. Okay, so for where I drew my lines, I need to start removing wood and then creating three balls kind of connected. So I'm going to start removing this section right here. And if you drew your three in the same spot, fantastic. If not, you'll need to be removing lines or removing wood according to where you drew that. So I've got a lot of wood to remove right here as I go in and out at the top to remove all this wood here. Okay? Like that, okay? Now, right here in the middle, I'm going to do a big V cut. Start to free that up. Start to deepen down in there. Like so, right? So we're going to have one big balloon right there. We're going to have another big balloon style piece of bush and then another one at the top. So right here, I can start to V cut across here if I want to set in the separation between these ones. I can come right along that edge, like so, all the way around here. And so I separated that one out a little bit, right? Now I can take that top and remove that, rounding it off. Take off those saw marks along the top of the carving. And on that outer side edge. And now remember too, you don't have to get this perfectly symmetrical. Let's say that we accidentally, I took off a huge section on this side, right? Oh my God, now it's off the center. That's okay. Here's what we do. We just correct it. We just round it off, and now that's the way it was supposed to be from the beginning. It was supposed to be off-centered. I'm just going to start carving in a little bit around this outside edge to curl it in and make a new little ball here, right? And now that is the top part of our bonsai tree. It's off to one side for this one. So now we got to carve in these other two balls right here, okay? To do that, I'm going to start separating them out with V-cuts right here. V-cuts right here. Take off those saw marks too while we're here, while we're at it. And take those off on all the sides that you can get to. Quick and easy. All right. Now this is a carving that's not going to make a lot of sense when you look at it unpainted, right? But once you get that paint on there, we're going to do some dry brushing, and I'll go over that at the end of the video, and it's going to look just absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to keep going here. So for this, I'm going to undercut a little bit right here, okay, to bring that tree branch kind of up underneath that limb. Just keep rounding things over, rounding things off. You're making balls basically. So you got to round all these things over, separate them out. If you have to make a cut more than once, you make a cut more than once. Take your time to do it. You're not in a rush. There's no hurry here. There's no reason to hurry when you're whittling. You are relaxing. You're spending some time doing an interesting and fun hobby. It does not have to be something that you're rushing on in any way, shape, or form. Look at that. That's going to be really neat. I hope you're following along with how I'm cutting, because on a normal carving, I'll give you guys a lot of input on here's how we develop a bicep when we're carving an orc warrior. Here's how we create this hood when we're carving this ranger. Here's how we do this snout on a dragon when we're carving a big red dragon. But on something like this, it's very free form. It's very eclectic. It's going to change depending on your mood and how you want it to look. So definitely take your time and explore that a little bit, right? You just want to have 3 circular shapes here, and they can be as circular or as oblong or as smooth or as rough as you want them to look. Another thing they could be too is they're kind of like little Dr. Seuss trees kind of too. So if you could just paint these as random colors, maybe red, blue, yellow, whatever you wanted to, and they'd be right out of the Who's from Whoville or the Lorax movie or the book, depending on how old you are and how young you are. Some young folks these days only know the Lorax from the movie, while others, more like myself, read the book when they were younger. And there's nothing wrong with that. So we've got that part of that tree all done. That's really looking fantastic. And you can spend a little time here cleaning up all these little nooks and crevices, making them look better, right? And the deeper you get this rounded off between the parts, the more separated it's going to look, and it's going to look a little bit better, I think, right? It's going to look really neat. And if you want to, you can really clean up underneath the edge here of that tree as it comes around, or that base of that trunk right there. Now, for the potter on the bottom, okay, you've got a lot of options here, and I want to show you the options you've got. Because if you've got a V tool, or if you want to spend the time, you could carve in a little line along the bottom to add a little definition. You can carve this as an oval shape and have a rounded planter. You can carve off the corners and have a squarish kind of planter, or you can leave the corners very straight and square and box-like. This one seems more ovular. I don't know that. At any rate, you can make it circular when viewed from the bottom and have it be cylindrical as it moves up and down, and that's a good shape too. So what I'm going to do for this one here in particular is I'm going to take off all these saw marks, and then I'm going to take off the hard corners and make it pretty simple. Right here, and the last one with the hard corner. Take off these corners, like so, and finally like so. Now, how do we make this carving look as good as we possibly can? Recutting. Look at this section right here on top of that potter area, right? It's rough and it's terrible looking. If we fix that now, we make this carving look clean and wonderful, and people will say, oh my gosh, they are so good at this. Look at how clean that looks. How amazing that is. How did they do that? That's what they'll be saying when they look at our carving. Because we're going to go back in here and we're going to clean this up and we're going to make it look that good. But it didn't look that good the first time. It didn't look that good when we finished it up or I got this far, but no one's going to know that but us, because we're not going to tell them. I'm certainly not going to tell them. And if you don't tell them, how are they going to know?
Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know. How would they know?
How will they know? How will they know? That's exactly right. They won't know. They won't know at all. Be our little secret. Like a Bob Ross thing, be our little secret.
Let's decide. Maybe there's a happy tree, evergreen tree. He lives right there.
We're gonna put a little tree right over here. I love Bob Ross. A few people have made mention that I'm like a Bob Ross sort. And I tell you, honestly, I cannot have a higher compliment than that. That made me feel really, really good. Okay, so there is our little tree. And if you want to, and you've got something extra like a V-tool, you can do it real easy with a V-tool. You can just put a little line along the bottom, right like so if you want to add a little something to the carving. And you can do this by just V-cutting along there. It will just look a little bit cleaner with a V-tool if you have one. So if you have one and you want to, that's something you can do. You can do it with a knife. You can do however you want to. You can add some little definition or little decorations into the base of the carving, should you so choose. And I like that. But I'm going to take this over and I'm going to wash it off real quick, and I'll be right back in just a moment, and I'll go over how to get these guys painted and make them look absolutely fantastic with a little dry brushing. And if you haven't dry brushed before, it's pretty easy. It's be solid brown and a solid color for the bottom here, and then dry brushing. So that's really what I'm going to go over, is the dry brushing and how I got this dry brushing. So let's go ahead and give this guy a little bit of a wash. Be right back. One bonsai tree completed and washed. And once they're washed, look how fantastic that looks. You can imagine already how it's going to look with a little bit of paint. So we're going to go ahead and go over painting right now. The base coat of the painting I went with was this Hauser dark green, followed up by a lighter green. You always go dark green and then a lighter green. This is desert cactus and lush green. Either one of those would work. And for the brown, I utilized a burnt umber for the stem or for the base of the tree. Use whatever colors you want. Just remember this when dry brushing, a darker base coat and a lighter top coat. So whatever color you're going to dry brush for the top, make it a lighter one. If you want to go with multicolored ones, the dark blue base coat and a light blue dry brushing, and a significant difference between them really makes it pop. So this dark green, this Hauser dark green we're using for this base coat that you see, I'm putting it on there using water to thin it out a little bit and pushing all the nooks and crannies. Personally, I hate waiting for things to dry, so I'll always use a hair dryer to speed up that process and get things drier more quickly. Once that's done, I'll get this like desert cactus, a far lighter green than the Hauser dark green base coat, fill the paintbrush, and then brush most of that paint out of the paintbrush. The goal here is to do a bad job at painting and get only partially coverage on that Hauser dark green with that desert cactus or that lighter green coloring, and it comes out with this tone and this texture that looks absolutely fantastic. Dry brushing is not that difficult. You just think, I'm just painting, but badly. And that's what I'm doing to get it to where I can see the Hauser dark green through that top coat. All right, with painting being done, we've got all of our little guys all finished up, and you have now your own little bitty, tiny little bonsai tree. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of stuff, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of content. Head over to Facebook and Instagram, give me a like and a follow over there. And outside of that, I really appreciate your time. I've got other videos on the channel. If you want to check them out, they'll be popping up on the screen here in a second. See you guys next time. Bye.